Welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today we're going to be looking at More Fun Comics number 72. This was published in October 1941, and it's called The Forger. And we have on the cover it says Dr. Fate, startling different. Yes, he is different. The most obvious change is that his helmet is now truncated. So I read the introduction to this volume, and it really doesn't explain why the decision was made, but his appearance is only part of the change, as we're going to see. But what I can say is that I don't think any of the changes were to the benefit of the character. So we open to a criminal who is now out of jail. These hands are my fortune, boys. When they sent me up the river, did I crack rocks like those apes they had in there with me? Not Fingers Beaumont. So he's a forger, and they decide they're going to go to a small town and start robbing the people there. Meanwhile, Inza is traveling to her family's house, grandpa and grandma. So I guess they live in a small town. They're farmers. And so she decides she's going to be a bookkeeper, and grandpa says, or grandma says, he needs a bookkeeper because he can't add more than 9 and 9. So, meanwhile, Kent Nelson, as Dr. Fate, is kind of monitoring what's going on with Inza, or he has a crystal that will warn him just in case anything happens. So the criminal says, I opened a small account, and I got some blank checks. Now you and Slim get going. So they're going. They're going to rob. They're going to steal mail and open it and forge signatures and cash checks illegally. So Inza gets a check for her grandfather. It says, this is odd. The bank statement is a day late, and it looks as though it has been steamed open. I may be overly suspicious. I don't know whether to worry Gramps about this or not, but Dr. Fate has a feeling something bad's going on, so he heads out to the farmhouse. This is a peaceful countryside, passing farmers in a Model T car riding to town to sell their goods. So this is kind of weird because the forger says, this is just the beginning. We'll milk the rich boys up here, then swing in on the banks and borrow some of their dough after I got enough cash to hire some city gunmen. So this, it sounds like he's gone to some sleepy little farm town. Who are the rich guys? Her grandpa? Is he rich? But Dr. Fate has a ring, and he's able to see that there's a robbery in progress and heads out. They've got what they came for, all right, but I don't think they'll keep it long. Yelp, let's go. Look, a guy flying through the air. So he drops down on them and kind of works them over a bit, and they give up Beaumont's name. So he travels out there. I know we fall. Well, I ain't got no special love for Fingers Beaumont. It was him. So he heads out, and they give him a call. A guy flying through the air in gold and blue. That's Dr. Fate. Easy, boys, easy. You'd think you were frightened of him. There's nothing to be afraid of. Now, this is the first time that Dr. Fate has ever taken on just regular criminals. He's always taken on super scientists and aliens and other creatures. So how can he do against just regular old crooks? This is where those men said Beaumont lived. Now to pay him a little call. It's very quiet here. I guess that'll hold him. I have a little surprise for you. Trapped. Gas. Choking me. Can't breathe. So he passes out. And this is now one of the changes. He has a massive vulnerability in his lungs. And he does pass out. Before he was basically indestructible. But this is going to continue on through the series. Ongoing. So they carry his prone body out and just dump him off a cliff. End of Dr. Fate. Right. And meanwhile, Inza's driving past, and she apparently, in driving past, hears them. Dr. Fate, did I overhear them say the end of Dr. Fate? Oh, so she travels out. She assumes he's dead, even though she's seen in the past that he's basically indestructible. But he explains that although his body is invulnerable and immortal, that a gas can render him in a stupor indefinitely. So, the fall down those rocks, although not harming my body, forced my lungs to open and close like bellows. Pure air was forced into my lungs and the gas was exhaled. Okay. If those men hadn't tried to drop you down here, you would be still helpless. Yeah, apparently. So, not so tough anymore. So he crashes back on Beaumont. You're clever, but not clever enough. He's back again. So he punches out Beaumont. Now for you boys. And again, he works them over, clunks their heads together. We'll drop you off at the state trooper shack on the highway. Incidentally, the money you stole from these farmers and the bank must be returned. You understand? You'll find the money in the safe in the house. You can do what you want to with it. I guess it's the big house again for me. So he's just resigned to his fate. Your grandfather knows the people around here. He can give back this money to them. Then this feller jumps up into the air and flies away. Honest Injun. And that's Kent Nelson. Well, if you say so. Gramps, imagine a being able to do things like that. Yes, imagine it. So, Dr. Fate doesn't really do magic anymore. He just is strong, physically invulnerable, and can fly sometimes, and has a massive vulnerability in his lungs. And there are other changes too, which we'll see as time goes on, and definitely is not an improvement to the character.